Slide the manual latch to the unlocked position. Slide and hold the spring-loaded latch in the unlocked position. Slide the battery pack out of the bay. Push the dummy card in to unlatch it and release. Slide the dummy card out of the slot. Loosen 5 captive screws. Unsnap the access panel and remove it. Remove the single retaining screw. Pull the tab to disconnect the connector and remove the hard disk drive from the slot. Remove 4 screws from the hard disk drive bracket. Remove the bracket from the hard disk drive. Remove the single retaining screw. Insert a screwdriver into the screw hole and push the optical disk drive out. Remove the optical disk drive from the chassis. Press the latches on either side of the DIMM to release it. Unplug the DIMM and remove it. Repeat for the second DIMM if applicable. Disconnect the 2 wireless LAN cables. Remove the single retaining screw. Unplug the wireless LAN mini card and remove it. Remove the 3 retaining screws on the bottom of the system as indicated. Turn the system over. Carefully loosen the keyboard and lift it slightly to disconnect the keyboard cable from the system board. Remove the keyboard. Remove 13 screws from the bottom of the chassis. Turn the system over. Remove the single retaining screw. Disconnect the fingerprint reader cable and the touchpad cable. Disconnect the power board cable and the indicator board cable. Disconnect the microphone cable. Carefully unsnap the keyboard bezel and remove it. Disconnect the power board cable from the power board. Remove the single retaining screw. Lift the power board from the keyboard bezel. Disconnect the I/O board cable from the system board. Remove the single retaining screw. Lift and remove the I/O board from the chassis. Disconnect the cable from the system board. Remove the 2 retaining screws. Remove the RJ45 USB board. Remove the single retaining screw. Disconnect the LCD signal cable. Disconnect the left and right speaker cables. Carefully lift the system board up and disconnect the power cable. Remove the system board from the chassis. Disconnect the fan cable from the system board. Loosen the 3 captive screws on the heatsink. Carefully lift the heatsink and remove it. Disconnect the RTC battery from the system board. Remove the RTC battery. Remove 2 retaining screws. Remove the speaker. Repeat the process for the other speaker. Release the antenna cables from the guides. Remove 4 retaining screws from the LCD unit hinges. Lift the LCD unit from the chassis. Remove 2 screw caps and retaining screws. Using your fingers, carefully unsnap the LCD bezel from the cover. And remove it. Remove the integrated camera. Disconnect the integrated camera cable. Remove 6 retaining screws. Lift the LCD panel from the back cover and carefully turn it over. Loosen the LCD signal cable from the guide in the back cover. Remove the LCD panel. Disconnect the LCD signal cable from the LCD panel. Remove 2 retaining screws. Remove the hinge from the LCD panel. Repeat the process for the other hinge.